What's going on, guys? This is Boxingwave. Please subscribe to the channel. It's official. Canelo Alvarez is going to be fighting William Scull in May. I just I just did a video, and I know it was late to the news, but I did a video the other day on the whole Canelo, Jake Paul, Terrence Crawford news, the four-fight deal. That was my very last piece of content I made. And in that video, I brought up William Scull, and in other videos, I brought up William Scull. And the one thing I said that made sense to me leading up to the Terrence Crawford fight in September is if Canelo's going to really fight Crawford, there's only one fight that made sense to me leading up to the Crawford fight, and that's William Skull. You know, this is not about who I think is the most dangerous opponent for Canelo Alvarez or the opponent with the bigger name. It was about what fight made sense leading up to the Crawford fight. William Skull was Canelo's mandatory last year. Okay, the only reason why I'm not gonna sit here and act like I knew this dude. The only reason why I knew who he was is because he became Canelo's mandatory last year, at some point, probably in between the Magia fight and the Edgar Berlanga fight. And I remember when Canelo was stripped or he vacated the IBF title, and William Skull went on to fight for the title and became champion. Back then, Canelo didn't want to fight him back then because he didn't have a name and nobody knew who he was. You know what I mean? So this fight could have happened last year, but it didn't. And even though I didn't care for Canelo fighting guys like Munguia and what's his name, Edgar Berlanga, it was more because there was guy like Morel and Benavides that was in the division at the time that I felt like were better fights for Canelo. You know what I mean? As far as quality. Um, Magia, I know he has a name, you know what I mean? But I didn't feel like he was any danger for Canelo. Neither did I did for Belanga. You know, he kind of has a name, but he didn't have any experience, you know, and I thought the other two fighters were better opponents. But those guys won and moved up to 175 and they already faced each other. So we're talking about 168 and we're talking about styles and we're talking about a belt that Canelo is currently not holding. And to make the Crawford fight even bigger, because now we know that Crawford is looking to get the bag. Him and Canelo both are going to get paid more in this fight probably than any other fight in their career, right? Um, Now it's something in there, something in it for Crawford more than just the money. Now, if he actually wins this fight against Canelo, he will be undisputed at 168, you know? And I think that makes the perfect sense. You know, if you are to beat Canelo, why beat him and not become undisputed? You know what I mean? Like you're not going to be the favorite to win the fight. You are the guy coming up two divisions, just like Jamel did when he fought him. If you are to find a way to win the fight, and I don't mean saying it like that. I'm only saying in a way, in a sense that he is a guy that's moving up a couple of divisions to face him. If he is to win this fight, he should be fighting for undisputed. You know, in one fight deal. You know, you've been undisputed twice already. So why not fight for undisputed on this move up? You know, it would be a big fight. It would be a big moment. And in my opinion, if Crawford is to win the fight, it would be one of the best wins that anyone has had in a very, very long time. You know, William Skull. I haven't seen any of his fights outside of his most recent fight, which is against Vladimir Shishkin, who I was actually familiar with more so than Skull. Skull I never heard of until I found out he was a Mando for Canelo. Um, Shishkin I did hear of. I did see him fight before, uh, but he lost that fight. So, you know, William Skull, 32 years old, a Cuban fighting out of Germany. All right. He has like 23 professional fights, 9 knockouts, no losses, no draws. Naturally bigger guy, tall, rangy, you know, throws combinations, a good mover, and that's the key thing that stood out with him. Not much power behind him, you know, but I watched his fights, and the reason why I said his fight makes sense not only because of the titles is going to be on the line. But the styles, you're going to be fighting Terrence Crawford, right? And is this guy a southpaw? I don't think he is. No, he's not. But if you're going to be fighting Terrence Crawford, who's most likely going to be moving at some point in that fight, or a lot of points in that fight, you want to fight a guy that is kind of similar to him, like kind of, not exactly similar, but he's kind of similar in the way that he fight, his approach. I think it's a better fight than Bruno Sarace and Jamal Charlo. I know Jamal has a bigger name, but Jamal is not in a fighting spirit right now. He don't got it. This to be just jumping in there with Canelo right now. You know what I mean? That would be a tune-up right now. Because Jamal is just not in a boxing state of mind right now. He's not. Bruno, big win against Munguia. Again, that really doesn't mean that you earned a Canelo fight just off that one knockout. Like, he got dropped in a fight. He was losing the fight clearly. Like I said in the other video, I said the same thing. Like, Bruno needs to have that rematch with Munguia. And, maybe we could have some conversations about him fighting like a Berlanga or a Caleb Plant or something like that. Or even like a Jamal Charlo. Like, he's not there. And even though William, to me, is still not the most dangerous fight right now at 168, he has a belt. And I don't think anyone really stands out at the division right now. Because unfortunately, the top guys, not including Canelo, are not facing each other. It's kind of like how it was. It kind of reminds me of when Canelo went on his run when he first entered the division and went through, Joe Saunders, Billy Joe Saunders, and Plant and Calvin Smith. A lot of those guys was there already, and they weren't fighting each other. Benavidez didn't fight Plant. They were both PBC. Saunders didn't fight Smith, and they were both. Were they both Matchroom at the time? I know they both were fighting on the zone at the time. So at that point, I just felt like, Canelo moved up and did his thing and became undisputed. And since then, he's been fighting other guys at 168. But at the same time, it's like no one has proven they're on a different level. I think Benavidez was that guy. And now that he moved up, he's out of the picture. Morrell moved up, he's out of the picture. All those guys, like, like Billy, I feel like it's just definitely worthy of a title shot. But I don't think there's anyone that really stands out to being the best 168 pounder outside of Canelo. I just think that there's a bunch of good fighters. But, when I watch, like, even Billy, like, he's, when I look at the style and how he fights, I saw his fight with Derevyanchenko, and again, like, the guy was burnt out very, very early in the fight. A guy that's high volume, aggressive puncher, brawler type of guy. Like, you burning out that quickly kind of makes me like, I don't know, man. Like, and then it's the other two Cubans that's up there at 168 who no one knows. It's not much there at 168. It's not. So I don't have a problem with this fight. If he wants to have a fight before Crawford, this is a good fight before Crawford, and it's a meaningful fight. I absolutely have no, and I said this in the last video, I have no problems with this fight. Not until, when you're going into the biggest fight of your career, yes, I'm saying that. And as far as money, Canelo's going into the biggest fight in his career, financially. They both are. Crawford's not even fighting anyone. And some may feel like that's a disadvantage. I hate the fact. I think that's the one thing I hate about Crawford. Outside of him being my favorite active fighter, I just don't get enough from him. Like, I want to see him fight more. I always did. And I know a lot of it was to hold up behind business, especially when it came to Errol Spence. But, at the end of the day, like, he's about to fight Canelo and he hasn't fought, since the last one, Madrimov. Now, the last one before that was Spence. Like, it's long gaps. He fights once a year. But he's probably like, who am I going to fight? What am I going to risk taking a loss fighting a guy that's closer to Canelo's weight or at Canelo's weight to ruin this opportunity with Canelo. Like this, I'm the B side. Like I don't want to ruin this opportunity. Canelo, he's taking a fight in a person that I think he will beat, but still risk, still risk, you know. So I have no problems with this fight, man. I really don't. Canelo, I think it's good that he's staying active. He's a lot more active than Terrence Crawford, and that's one advantage outside of the weight that he has against Crawford. You know, if you don't think he's as skilled as Crawford, and you don't think he's as technical, then that's cool. But Canelo is younger, and uh, he is a lot more active than Crawford. You know, so I'm cool with this fight. No complaints. It's all about timing. Again, he could have fought this guy last year, and to be honest, I could see why he would fight Berlanga over him. You know, because at least he could sell pay-per-views. He's probably not gonna sell much off this fight right here, but it'll definitely give him momentum going into the Crawford fight. And you never know if William Scull actually boxes well, and Canelo has been going on a streak of not stopping opponents. So William Scull went some rounds here by boxing, and Canelo doesn't stop him or drop him or anything like that. It might make people feel like Crawford has a better chance. You get me? If Canelo struggles a little bit in this fight. That's how it works with fans. You see a fight, you don't look completely dominant, and people start thinking like, this just happened with Crawford and Madrimov. That just happened. People started losing hope for Crawford because he wasn't dominant. He didn't knock him out. He's been knocking out guys so long that the one fight he didn't knock a guy out, people thought he lost. People thought he fell off. People don't think he's good at the upper division. You know, that's how boxing works. So I really am going to be patient on this one. Um, and I'm cool with this one. Now, when it comes to the fights after Crawford, like I said, many things may change by that time. We're talking about 2026. But this schedule is a good schedule. Crawford and Scull this year, I'm fine with that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the thumbs up. Please hit the thumbs up if you enjoy the content. And share the video if you could. All right, I'm out of here. Y'all have a good one. Oh, Baranchik and Davis video is going to be done. I did all the film study, so be on the lookout for that. That fight is this week.